we knew it had real possibilities, but at that time, I don't think even we had any idea of what magnitude this thing would become to the world. But when I started, that was on February 2nd, 1948, the first day I started there. But by the end of that year, we had this first prototype pretty well working and was setting up the tooling for the production. I remember one night, Leo and I took one of the first guitars after we got set up for producing them. And we did this a lot. We would go out in the evenings to clubs and places where musicians played, and we'd take an instrument and have them try it and then comment back to us. In other words, what you might say, we picked everybody's brain on ideas, what their needs were, what their desires were, and many things. And this helped tremendously in designing something that would fill their need. Anyway, this particular night, we went to a place called Riverside Rancho in Los Angeles. And there was a group, band playing. It was a large dance hall, quite a lot of people there. And we had one of these instruments, and we kind of stayed off to the side of the stage, off in the corner, waiting for an intermission because we wanted their guitar player to try this instrument. And during this period of waiting, there was a young fellow came in, a good-looking young man, and came over where we were. Wanted to know what we had, what this particular strange-looking instrument was, and asked if he might try it. Of course, Leo said, "Oh, certainly, that's why we're here, is to show this." So this young man sat down, just backed up and kind of sat on the edge of the bandstand and played on this guitar, unamplified, just like it was, until the band took a few minutes intermission. And he asked them, and they allowed him to plug this into one of their amplifiers. And he still sat on the edge of the bandstand and played this guitar. Well, him playing by himself on this strange-looking new type of an instrument was very new to everyone, and soon everyone in the whole room was crowded close by watching this young man play. And the band never went back to playing that night. All those members stood around, and he probably played that guitar for maybe an hour and a half by himself, sitting on the edge of this bandstand with that funny-looking little new wooden instrument, playing for that whole crowd of people. And that was a fabulous Jimmy Bryant, which you no doubt have heard about him. And those days, Jimmy Bryant was, I think, the top guitarist known in this part of the country. And certainly, we provided him with equipment, and this set about the wheels of motion, so to speak, for that particular kind of thing to catch on like wildfire.
レオ・フェンダーの精神を受け継ぎ、今に生かしていくこと、それを行っているのが G&L の制作責任者ジョン・ロドリゲスだ。彼に話を聞いたのはレオ・フェンダーの作業室。この部屋はレオが最後に仕事をした日のままで保存されている。だからカレンダーは今でも1991年3月だ。
Well, we're now sitting here in Leo's lab where he did most of his creations with his guitars, in making the pickups, designing the controls, and coming up with the new ideas for the instruments. Most of the time when you would come into this lab to talk to Leo, you would always see him sitting here in this chair. This was basically his chair. Nobody else would sit in it except him. Leo would make it at least once a day, if not maybe 2 times a day. He would go out into the plant and walk through the whole each department. If he would see something that was not right, he would make sure that he would go up and explain it to the employee. But even back when Leo owned the Fender company, Leo would have this thing of he always wanted to work with the employees. He would come to work dressed just like any ordinary worker, and he would wear a utility belt with all his wrenches and everything, and then he'd have also this little thing that would go in his shirt pocket with all of his calipers and stuff. And he'd get out there and he'd start working with everybody. And the funny thing about it was that he would go out, and sometimes you'd have new employees that would be coming in, and he would go over there, and without introducing who he was, he would go over there and show them what they were doing wrong and explain to them how to cut the material or how to do this, that. And then they'd walk away. But the funny thing is, a person would turn around, they'd look at their boss or their supervisor and say, who's he to turn around and come and tell me how to do it? That's the man that signs your check. That's one of the things that Leo liked doing. I mean, for a gentleman that had a lot of money, it wasn't that Leo liked to turn around and, as we say here in the United States, penny pinch. Because when Leo needed to buy something, he would go out and buy it. But Leo also felt that if you need something to store stuff, he would collect